at the end of the day, it's just the competitive drive to be better than you were the day before. When you put on the Viking hat and you see your name flash across the graphic card, you're like, man, like it's actual reality. If I'm not doing it, someone else is. And if they're getting better, they're going to be better than me.
Welcome to the Athletes in Sports podcast with a very special guest today, Donovan Jackson. Now, Donovan, we're here at a hockey event today. You're a football player. Have you ever played hockey before?
No, I grew up in Houston, Texas. We didn't have a whole lot of hockey down there, but going to college at Ohio State, I've been to a couple of Blue Jackets games, and I can definitely appreciate the sport.
Definitely. Have you been to any Wild games since you've been in Minnesota?
Not yet, but I'm looking forward to going to some soon.
Yeah, it's a great state of hockey. You know, we're out here with a lot of kids. These are all Mite hockey players, so they're like 9 years old and below. What sports were you playing when you first started, 6, 7 years old? What sports were you into?
Yeah, my dad allowed me to play all the sports I wanted. So, I played football, I did track and field, I played baseball, I did basketball, and I just worked from there.
What age did you start playing?
I started playing contact football when I was 5.
5? Wow.
Other sports, obviously before, like flag football, I was younger, basketball, off the tee, baseball, stuff like that. But I vividly remember playing contact football when I was 5.
Wow. And was that always your favorite, or like starting out, what was your favorite sport that you played?
Starting out, I loved baseball. I really did love baseball. But then, the more you develop, the wider my shoulders got, the taller I got, the bigger I got from everyone else. My dad's like, hey, how about we focus on football? We might have something here.
So did you grow young? Like, were you big young, or was that, as you got older?
I was always pretty big. Playing Little League games, my mom had to bring my birth certificate.
My gosh, just like you. That's crazy.
I was big too when I was little.
Yeah. So I was always pretty big, and I kind of developed pretty fast, especially into middle school, going into high school. And so it kind of gave me a little bit of an advantage in terms of, height and weight.
Now, we there's a lot of coaches that listen to our podcast. Growing up, was there any coach or parent that really stood out to you? Any great lessons that you learned from any of your coaches at a young age?
Yeah, I learned a lot from every coach I had. Obviously, the biggest lessons came from my parents. They're always like, there's always a try your hardest or don't try at all. It's always, you're not going to have one foot in, one foot out. If you're going to do something, you're going to do it to the best of your abilities. One, because they're paying for it. And so, and another reason is that they wanted me to develop that mindset early of discipline and instilling confidence in myself to always be the best me I could be. And then I have coaches all the way along the way, from Little League all the way up to high school. And I still talk to some of my high school coaches today. They taught me obviously the physical aspects of sport, but obviously the team aspects, the individual skills, and something that I carried on into my NFL career.
That's great. And I think parents play such a big role in that, the fundamentals and the foundation and grounding you. And obviously playing, you were big young. Do you feel like you gained that, you always kind of had that confidence edge, or what do you feel like helped you continue to gain confidence as you continue to progress?
Yeah, I didn't always have this confidence that I play with now. In fact, I was always very timid, very shy, sometimes even now. But in aspects of sport, I learned to grow that confidence through one of my coaches, Coach Younger, when in middle school. He told me, like, hey, man, like, you're blessed with God-given abilities, this, that, and the third, but, like, you have to start believing in yourself where others can believe in you. And so I just took that of, like, I have to tell myself that I'm going to do it, and then I go do it. And obviously, my parents are always there with me, instilling in confidence. But your parents aren't with you on the field or on the ice, whatever. So you always have to have that confidence in yourself that you're able to do what you're coached to do throughout the week.
Yeah, that inner dialogue, that self-talk is so important that I feel like we don't talk about that enough. And not believing everything you think, but you have to believe in yourself first. So that's great.
Do you have any techniques during a game or practice when things aren't going well that you're kind of what that self-talk is to kind of get back on track?
Yeah, if things aren't going your way, and it happens, it's sports, someone might have your number. You just have to have a short-term memory. In college, we called it just erasing the whiteboard. You know, in the whiteboard, you have all these plays drawn up. You have all this jumbled mess on the whiteboard. You just got to take a towel and just erase it and start from scratch and tell yourself, like, okay, we're going to restart and we're going to go from here. And just having that ability to not have a snowball effect, you know, make one problem turn to two to three, three to four, and just saying to yourself, hey, we're going to stop right there, restart from here. And, you know, the Vikings do an incredible job with mental health professionals, whether it be, you know, teaching you breathing exercises, because you go out there with those big stages, there's millions of people watching. Sometimes that can get to you mentally. So just taking a deep breath, taking it all in, and staying where your feet are just some of the things they teach us over there.
You know, you're a big part of your role is to protect the quarterback. Is there, you know, any crazy things that J.J. McCarthy's doing to get ready for a game that, or even during the game that you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty well known that he meditates, and like, not having been his teammate before, I was like, oh, he just probably does it for the cameras. No, like he's in the locker room like meditating like 30 minutes before the game, and like he'll go through his draw sheets, he'll go through the first 15 plays, everything like that. Then he just closes his eyes and tries to focus on the moment, and that's one of the few things he does. But you know, everybody does their own certain type of things to get ready, to get mentally locked in to go out there.
And so take us back. So you're playing in high school. When did you start playing varsity football?
My freshman year.
Freshman year. Okay. How big was your high school? Was it pretty small? Was it big?
Yeah. I went to private school out in Texas. The reason I transferred is no reason of importance, but the reason I transferred is because my public school ran a wing T offense. And I was like, I'm not going to have...
What does that mean?
Wing T offense, for those of you who don't know, is when you have four hands in the dirt if you're offensive lineman, and all you do is cut. And unless I'm going to, you know, Army, Navy, no one really recruits kids that do that. And so I knew I had to leave to go to a different program. So I went to Bel Air Episcopal. And, yeah, I mean, I started out there my freshman year. You know, I had to learn a little bit freshman year, and then kind of took off from there.
That's awesome. So go through your high school career. How did the recruiting process work for you?
My recruiting process, I would say, is not the norm. I would say I had scholarship offers going into my freshman year, and so.
Wait, freshman year of high school?
Yeah. So
oh, wow.
Eighth grade going into my freshman year, I had.
And how big were you at that?
Oh, at that point in time, I was 6'2", 275. Ooh. And so they offered me off of just potential. They was like, hey, like, this kid looks like he'll be good. He's able to bend. He's able to move. I was already going to these college camps, so they saw me in person. So it wasn't like they were just blind betting on a big, you know, middle school going into high school. But, yeah, and then every year after that, my technique got better, grew a little bit more, gained a little more muscle. And in total, when I committed, I had 35 scholarship offers.
Wow.
Majority of them were in the South. So you had, your Alabamas, your Texases, your Texas A&Ms. I had a handful out west, the USCs, Stanford, UCLAs. And then I really only had a couple in the Midwest, Ohio State, Penn State, Team Up North. I'd say Team Up North. You can't say the other word, but and everything like that. But yeah, that was definitely my journey through high school.
And what was it about Ohio State that made you pick there?
Yeah, I picked Ohio State because it was the best fit for me, not only academically. My mother's a teacher, so I had to say that for her, but athletically as well. They had a large history of sending linemen to the league, and the class I was in, the trajectory of the program, I knew that was something I wanted to be a part of. It was hard to leave the state of Texas. A majority don't, because you have such great programs around the corner. But I was blessed with the opportunity to have my parents come travel to and from my games, so it wasn't like they were missing anything.
And I wanted to get to your parents because there's a video right now that's going a little bit viral of your mom cheering you on in the stands. Talk a little about that. Like, what are your parents like? They seem like big supporters of you.
Yeah, my parents are my biggest supporters. From the first time I ever put on cleats to even just now, I mean, they haven't changed how they support me, and they haven't changed how they love me and what I do. You know, in terms of my mom, that's just my mom. She's always been like that. But yeah, you know, they're very outspoken of how I play. You know, they love it. Mainly, they just love me having fun. You know, obviously they would love if I go out there and dominate, win, whatever. But they're like, after every game, they're like, "Did you have fun?" And if the answer is yes, then they're happy with it.
So important.
Do you know someone who could benefit from hearing this episode? Share it with them. Whether it's a friend, a coworker, a mentor, or a former athlete or current athlete, we want to make sure that these inspiring stories touch all of those who want to hear.
Well, and how cool, even at the competitive level that you play, you know, we talk a lot about that for our In Sports Foundation is you don't have to be the best. You just got to try your best, and that's the best, right? But we talk a lot about fun, and there's a stat that we love to throw out that it's after the age of 13, 70% of kids drop out of sports. And one of them is because it's a lack of confidence, and it's not fun anymore. And so you practice day in and day out. You've been playing this sport for years. What makes it still fun?
For me, it's the competitive nature. You know, I love to win, and I love to improve myself. So I go out there and practice every day, and I realize there's something I can to get better. And having that realization that I can continue to get better is what drives me. That's what's fun for me. You know, and obviously just the guys you're with. There's the locker room is one of those places where you have a group of guys working towards a common goal, and they're pushing each other every day to reach that goal. And so that's fun to me. Obviously, the game days are fun. That's when you show off the results of your training. But you know, it's the everyday. It's the lifting. I love lifting. It's all that to culminate to the end goal of playing games.
And Donovan, you were part of a national championship team at Ohio State. What was part of that team chemistry in the locker room that maybe was different than any other team that you've been on?
Yeah, the team chemistry and how close we were was second to none. You know, those are the guys I still talk to this day. I mean, some of them call me every day. So those guys are my best friends and my brothers. You know, we went through a lot. I'm not going to delve into, you know, all that we went through, but we went through a lot to the point where we knew that the championship run we went on was something that we'd never forget. And you know, just looking forward to seeing those guys. You know, a couple of those guys are playing this weekend, so looking forward to cheering those guys on.
If you think about the best teammate that you've ever played with so far in your career, who would you pick?
I played with a lot of great guys.
What? No.
Like ever in my career.
It doesn't have to be just your favorite one, but maybe one that sticks out to you.
I mean, I would have to say, I would say my friend Tyleek. Yeah, he was my college roommate. And so, and he would play on the D line, so we went against each other every day. And so we would, obviously the competitive nature, we'd talk a lot of smack to each other in practice. Then we'd go home and talk even more smack to us then. So that was probably one of my better teammates. Obviously, I lived with him for 2.5 years. My other roommate, Zen, he was an offensive lineman. And then those are probably my two closest friends that I had from playing football. There's tons of other guys, but those are just the guys I lived with, so I see them all the time.
Awesome. So great career at Ohio State. You get ready for the NFL draft. What was going through your mind when Minnesota called your name in the first round?
Yeah, I mean, that was a surreal moment. I knew that I was most likely going to get picked between picks 23 to 32.
And how do you know that? Like, did somebody tell you that? Like, how does that? happen? How do you know between those numbers?
Yeah, so when you declare for the draft, the NFL will give you an evaluation like, hey, we think you're going to go from here to here, and then you go through all the pre-drafts, the combine, the interviews, the top 30 visits where you go to the clubs and you sit in front of them. Then after that, your agent will be like, hey, this is what I'm hearing. You might go from here to here, and like that. Those are all just numbers though, because at the end of the day, people trade up, people trade down. You might fall farther than you go. You might go higher than you think. That's just kind of how the draft goes. But I knew that if things stayed the same from pick 23 to 32 is where I would most likely go. And then if I fell farther from that, that was probably going to be picked in like the top 4 of the second round. And so I knew once 23 went, I was like, okay, like this is kind of starting to get a little bit nervous, but like I was still kind of hopeful. And then I got a call that had no caller ID on my phone. And so I was like, okay, maybe I'm getting prank called. So I answered anyway. I just kind of gave a slight like, hello, try to like make sure it was. And then it was KO on the other end. And he was like, hey man, we're going to select you here. Can't wait for you to be a Viking. Talk to the line coach, talk to the GM. And I was like, oh man, it's actually reality now. And then when you finally hang up and you put on the Viking hat and you see your name flash across the graphic card, you're like, man, like it's actually reality.
It's awesome. Were you home? Were you with your parents? Where were you in that moment?
I was home in Texas. I wanted to be around I wanted to be around all the people who got me there. So, in my draft party, I had former coaches, former friends and family, former teammates that I had throughout Little League, just everyone there that kind of like got me to that moment.
And how has your time been in Minnesota? I know it can be cold like days like today, but overall, how has the experience been?
I've loved it. I went to obviously school in Ohio State in Columbus, so I was like, okay, maybe it's going to be like the same type of vibe of like Midwest, a lot of working people. But coming here, it's been amazing. I didn't realize that Minneapolis has great food. It's huge for me.
What's your go-to?
Go-to? I mean, I like steak. First restaurant they took me here when I got here was Porzana.
Oh,
and so
good choice.
I like that whole lot. Love sushi. Been to Billy's Sushi, all that. But I'm still trying out new spots. I haven't been here too long, but
there's some good ones.
Yeah. But everyone's here is really nice. Our fan base here is amazing. They support us through thick and thin, which I really appreciated. Every week we go out to the U.S. Bank Stadium. There's always people cheering us their loudest, and so I knew that this is a place obviously with fans and people here that love the Vikings.
Yeah, it's got to be a difficult stadium to play for the opponents because it can get really loud at U.S. Bank Stadium. Do you ever feel like on the offensive side that it's too loud, or do the fans keep it down for offense to be at work?
For the most part, yeah. But if defense has like a big turnover and there's a quick change and offense is on the field, sometimes maybe like the first 2 plays we can't hear the play call, and so we're in the huddle like what like because like, and then it gets to the point where like Brian O'Neill will try to like hush the crowd to try to like hear the call so he can try to run the offense.
Have there been any embarrassing or funny moments in the NFL that you just wouldn't have expected?
Like the welcome to the NFL moment, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I would say training camp. I was obviously my first introduction to NFL speed and size. I pride myself like, oh, I went to Ohio State. Like, oh, I won a national championship. It can't be that hard, right? Yeah, I got humbled very fast from the D-line, linebackers, and obviously Coach Flo with his like schematically difficult defense. But it's called you either win or you learn, and I learned a lot through my training camp. So I would say that's definitely one of my welcome to NFL moments. Obviously, you play against guys who are freaks of nature, and you try your best to prepare for those guys, but there's only so much you can do in practice until you see them in person. So is another factor to it.
Who has been the hardest component you've played against this past season?
The hardest individual opponent I've gone against some hard defenses that were hard to block schematically, but
who would that be? What teams?
The Packers.
Oh, the Packers.
The Packers had a good defense. But then I would say like Quinnen Williams on the Cowboys. he's just one of those guys where like they're just dense. It's like once they like objects in motion stay in motion, he's kind of like definition of that. Once he starts leaning on you, he just keeps going forward. So that was definitely a challenge for me. But there are other teams as well that come off the top of my head. Like Falcons had a tough defense, but yeah, I mean everyone's kind of tough.
How was the transition going from high school to college and then now the big leagues? Like, do you feel like it's a completely different preparation? Like, what do you feel like has that been like?
Yeah, there's completely different preparations for all that. You know, in high school, I was just better than some of the guys I went up against.
Easy?
Yeah, it was definitely easier than comparative to college. Like in high school, I didn't really watch film. Like the first time me watching the other team was when we played them, and I'd be like, all right, let's just see how this works. And usually it worked out. And so I tried that in college, and it did not work out. So it's the college I say is when the mental preparation starts of watching film, watching your opponent. How does he rush? What's his counter move? How does he fit double teams? How the linebackers flow? Are they slow flow? Do they backdoor? Where are the safeties on this type of run? If the corner's pressed, does that mean he's blitzing or does that mean he's just playing man? Stuff like that you got to tell yourself. And then in the NFL, it's a totally different game comparative to that because there's so many disguises. There's guys who are just better athletes. So even if you might know what's going on, there are guys who will just beat you because one, they've been in the NFL a long time and they're just bigger and stronger and faster. So you got to have different type of advantages you give yourself to give yourself a competing chance.
Donovan, we've got a lot of kids in the audience here. A lot of them, most of them are hockey players, but they might also play football, might play other sports. If you were to give advice, to yourself back when you were their age, what kind of advice would you give the kids in the room?
Yeah, I mean, at this age, I would say like never stop having fun. Sports at the end of the day are a kid's game. They're meant to have fun. They're meant to have fun with the people next to you, and they're meant to have fun making your parents proud. And then from there, just build off that. Continue to have fun getting better. Continue to have fun in the constant process of trying to make your game evolve. And so that would just be my biggest advice. I always had a great support system, whether it be coaches, parents, or guys I'm playing with, and that's what caused me to nurture my love for the game to the point where I can, go to the highest level and continue to have fun.
And if your mom was here today, what advice do you think she would give parents? Because there's a lot of parents that take sports way too seriously, don't let their kids, just go and have fun and build that confidence. What do you think your mom would say if she was in the room giving advice to parents?
I mean, if my mom was here...
Make her proud.
If my mom was here, she'd probably say along the same lines of just be there to support the kid. We'll make mistakes. We'll have games where we're not performing to the highest that we know we can play at. But at the end of the day, it's up to us to bounce back. And my mom was always there for me. Every time I come on the field, now I've had bad games, and she'd be right there, hug, embrace me to make sure I'm feeling good about myself. To never let my confidence dip, because you'll have those games, or whether it be on the field or the ice, where you'll start questioning yourself, like, what am I doing? Like, am I doing this right? And every time I have that moment, it's always my mom right there, like, hey, like, you're all right, like, what you're doing, have a great week of practice, and then when the next opportunity comes, just go out there and play your game.
Hey everyone, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about the In Sports Foundation. At In Sports, we're all about helping kids get more involved in sports. We do this through providing free camps, scholarships, and team sponsorships, all to help reduce the cost of sports and getting more kids into the game. Through sports, kids can learn valuable life lessons, stay active, and maintain their mental well-being. To support our mission and help us get more kids into the game, visit our website at insportsfoundation.org to make a donation. Together, we can make a difference.
All right, so we're gonna let a couple kids give a few questions here, but right before, I'm gonna give you some rapid fire questions. One of them was favorite food. You already said that with the steak, right?
Yeah.
Right. How about favorite NFL lineman to watch growing up when you were younger?
To watch growing up, Zach Martin.
Okay. Toughest position to block?
To block?
Yeah.
DNs. Yeah, those guys are fast.
What music do you listen to before games?
Gospel. Yeah.
If you weren't playing football, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't playing football, I'd be. I don't know. This is the plan A right here. Yeah.
Plan A.
Yeah, I
Didn't
was
think
like,
about plan B.
No, I was like, I'll do this first. I'll worry about. My mama hates that answer, but yeah, this is plan A for me.
Awesome. And who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl tomorrow?
Probably Seattle.
Seattle?
If I had to choose Seattle.
Any other questions from you before we let some kids ask?
No, actually, yeah. I would say, what is one? Obviously, having fun, right? But what would you say from like a work ethic standpoint for a kid? Like for them, if I feel like these are such pivotal years for them to want to keep playing and having fun. But from a work ethic and really instilling that confidence, what advice would you have for kids?
Yeah, I would say you have to want it yourself. You can't have, your parents push you. Your work can't consist of, lessons you take off to the side, like whether it be private lessons or any training sessions. That can't be the only work you put in. Growing up, I would have the private lessons. Then I'd go lift with my dad. Then when I got home, I did 12 sets of 10 push-ups. Then I'd flip that and do sit-ups. And then after that, I'd rest for a while. Then I'd put on a weighted vest and I'd go run for a mile in my neighborhood. And then I'd run back. And then I'd start doing jump ropes. And this is obviously when I'm out of school. I do homework before that. But then I do all that because in my mind, I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be the best at it. And I'd always have that notion that if I'm not doing it, someone else is. And if someone else is getting better. And if they're getting better, they're going to be better than me. So that's just kind of the mindset I've always had. Like if I'm sitting here and I'm on the couch eating chips, someone's out there getting better, getting work in. And that thought, that notion drives me to keep on getting better, to keep on being the best I can be, because I know that I can be the best that I can be. And in order to do that, I have to put the work in. I can't just show up on Sundays and just play good. It's a lot that goes into that. And so I feel like that's the same mindset I had growing up as a kid. Even as a kid, I did all that stuff because I knew I wanted to be the best. Like my work didn't end when practice ended. My work just began after that. That's when I started doing the stuff that, the coaches didn't see, or even sometimes my parents didn't see. I'd be in my room when I'm supposed to be in bed. I'm doing push-ups just because
How many push-ups can you do without stopping?
Without stopping, I'm so big. That's a lot of weight on the wrists and shoulders, but I'll take a quick little break and keep going after that. But it's the drive to keep getting stronger is what is the work ethic I had. And so that, did that have an effect on where I am today? I would say yes, because my parents didn't have to push me to play my sport. My parents didn't have to do this or that, because at the end of the day, I wanted to play football. I wanted to be great at football. My parents just had to be there to support me.
Mm-hmm. I think
awesome.
that's tough, because I think some parents do really want to push their kids, but the kid might not want to do it. And I commend you. Like you wanted to be the best you could be, and you were going to put in that time and that effort. What does your off season look like this year to prepare for next season? Yeah,
this off season is unique because I just ended my first year in the NFL. Like in college, at the end of your season, you would have about 2 weeks off, and you're right back into winter workouts. And so here, for the most part, they're like, hey, see ya, come back in April. And so there's like, what do I do? Like, you're not going to tell me to come back. Like, there's a lot of freedom when it comes to being in the NFL, but it just comes back to the responsibility of you got to be in charge of your own nutrition. You got to be in charge of your own work ethic, your work habits. And so, obviously I gave myself some time off. It's the first, break I've had in a long time. I in college, I won the Natty in January, went into pre-draft for 2 months, got drafted, and just kind of went through the season. So I didn't really have any rest. But, my rest is coming to an end here soon. In the next couple weeks here, I'm gonna get back started all over again. So that's kind of my off-season plan. Give myself a little bit of rest, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to get better at football.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad the A team worked out for you. Your A plan worked out for you.
Yeah, my mom's glad about that too now.
Donovan, what is your big goal? Whether it's in life, in football, what is that? What is that big thing that you're striving for?
The big thing I'm striving for is what every athlete wants, is just be the best. Whether it comes with awards, accolades, my main focus is team goals. I want to be the best I can be to hopefully help my team go to wherever they want to go. But team success comes with personal success. If your team's good, then that means you're most likely playing good. So just being the best I can be. I know there's so much I can grow off of from what I did last season to propel myself into this next season. So just at the end of the day, it's just the competitive drive to be better than you were the day before. And so that's where I'm just trying to start off today.
And I feel like you're in such a unique position, right? Like you are kind of the behind the scenes guy, right? Like you're making things happen on the field that maybe not everybody can see, right? That video of your parents going viral, it just gave us completely different perspective of the game. And so I just commend you for all that you do for the team. So keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love your mom's like, I'm not watching the ball. I'm just watching 74. I'm watching my son.
Yeah, there'll be times where she has zero clue what happened in the play. And she was like, I was watching you though.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
You did
I
your
appreciate
job.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
We're going to have a couple kids ask some questions to Donovan. But before that, I want to thank our sponsors that are here. So parents that are in the room, make sure you check out Vibe Hockey in the back. We've got the Unreal table over here, the best apparel in the league. We got Green Biscuit, and then we got the Iron and Steel Thread Company. So thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to the parents for bringing your kids here. Awesome event. All right, you got a question for Donovan? Who over here has a question? All right, come on up.
What's the hardest team you ever played?
What's the hardest team you've ever played against?
The hardest team I played against, I would have to say, when I was a sophomore in college, we played the Georgia Bulldogs when they had, Jalen Carter, that whole defense over there. So I would say that was probably the hardest team I had to go against.
Good question. We're going to do questions over here, and then we're going to do autographs over here. All right, you got a question for Donovan?
How old is him?
How old are you?
I'm 23.
He's only 23 years old.
Should have had her guess.
You got a question?
What's the easiest team you ever played?
Ooh, what's the easiest team that you played against?
Don't hurt anyone's feelings here.
I'm not trying to diss anybody's teams or put bulletin board material out there, but there's some teams that you don't struggle as much against. But
You can say it. It's okay.
I'm not going to do that.
He's too kind. He's too kind. I love it. Keeping it PC.
Come up here if you got a question. All right, you got a question for Donovan?
If you were to play another team again of your choice, which team?
Ooh. Which team is your favorite team to play against?
Man, I would say anybody in our division. So Lions, Bears, or even the Packers. Those are the games I had the most fun in. I want to play them again.
How old was he when he started to play?
How old were you when you started to play?
I was 5 years old when I started playing football.
Have you ever played any other sports?
Ooh, what were your other sports that you played and your other favorite sports?
I played baseball, basketball. I threw shot and disc and track and field. And I was too heavy to compete, but I did wrestling workouts. There was no shot. I was getting down to the minimum requirement for heavyweight. So
We're going to let Donovan try the Vibe Hockey Challenge here later, too, so he'll get his first hockey fix in.
Awesome. All right, one more.
If you could choose any player onto the Minnesota Vikings, who would it be?
If you could choose?
Yeah.
If you could choose any Minnesota Vikings player on your team, who would it be?
I feel like the obvious choice would be Justin Jefferson, right? Yeah.
Awesome.
Can you gritty like him?
I've had to gritty before because one of a rookie thing. They made me gritty in front of everybody, but I got his stamp of approval on it. Yeah.
All right, one more question.
What's your question?
My favorite hockey team is Minnesota.
All right, who is your favorite hockey team?
Oh, you have to go the Wild, right?
Yeah.
Go Wild.
Hey,
Awesome.
With the Olympics on, what's your favorite Olympic sport to watch?
Favorite Olympic sport? I was always a fan of the half pipe. I was always a fan of that, watching Shaun White growing up. I like the big air. I think that came on with 2 nights ago. And then the bobsled teams.
Ooh.
I like those as well.
It's awesome.
Awesome. Well, Donovan, really appreciate you being out here with us today at Joy of the Pond. Welcome to the Minnesota Vikings. Welcome to Minnesota. We can't wait to watch your career grow and flourish. And thanks for all you do for these kids. I know they're eager to get your autograph here. So thanks for being on. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Keep
guys.
having fun.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Athletes in Sports Podcast. If you want to hear more inspiring stories from athletes, subscribe to our podcast and follow us on all of our social media channels. Let's keep inspiring kids to get in the game.